Pour yourself a drink, a beer, a glass of wine. It doesn't matter. Now look at it. It feels like such a modern thing, doesn't it? Bars, breweries, a bottle of red on the table. But you are holding one of the oldest habits our species has. Older than writing, older than cities, older than farming itself, and maybe, just maybe, older than humanity. Because the story of how we started drinking is not really the story of a bad habit. It might be the story of how we built the modern world. Let's start with something that sounds insane. You may have been born ready to drink. Long before there were humans, our distant primate ancestors lived in the trees, eating fruit. And ripe fruit, when it falls to the forest floor and sits in the sun, does something interesting. Wild yeast lands on it and begins to ferment its sugars, turning them into alcohol. That sweet, overripe fruit rotting on the ground was very likely alcoholic. Now here's the clever part. The animals that could smell that faint whiff of alcohol from a distance could find fallen fruit faster and eat more of it. Alcohol became a dinner bell, and so, according to one famous idea called the drunken monkey hypothesis, evolution actually favored the apes who were drawn to the smell of it, and it goes deeper than a preference. Around 10 million years ago, one of our ancestors developed a genetic mutation, a tiny change to an enzyme in the gut called ADH4. And that single change made them roughly 40 times better at breaking down alcohol. Suddenly, our ancestors could eat that fermenting fruit without getting sick and turn it into usable energy. Think about what that means. Before we walked upright, before we made a single tool, before we were even close to human, our bodies were already being shaped to handle alcohol. We didn't discover drinking. In a way, drinking discovered us. But eating fermented fruit off the ground is one thing. Deliberately making a drink to get that feeling, that is a huge leap. So when did humans actually start brewing on purpose? For a long time, the assumption was simple. First, humans invented farming. Then with all that leftover grain, somebody figured out how to make beer. Alcohol was treated as a happy accident, a bonus that came after civilization was already up and running. But the real evidence tells a much stranger story. In China, archaeologists studying a 9,000-year-old village called Jiahu found pottery jars with a residue inside them. And that residue was the recipe for a drink, a fermented mix of rice, honey, and fruit. 9,000 years ago, people were deliberately brewing. In the country of Georgia, they found the chemical fingerprints of wine that are around 8,000 years old. This was not a rare accident. All around the ancient world, humans were making alcohol on purpose, very early, and taking it very seriously. And that leads to one of the most provocative ideas in all of archaeology. A question that flips human history on its head. What if we didn't start farming to make bread, but to make beer? It's called the beer before bread theory. And the argument goes like this. Turning wild grain into bread is a lot of hard work for a fairly boring result. But turning grain into alcohol gives you something magical. A drink that makes people relaxed, happy, and social. Something worth throwing a feast for. Some researchers believe that the powerful desire to have alcohol for great feasts and sacred rituals may have been one of the reasons humans first bothered to plant and harvest grain at all. And there is a haunting place that hints at this. In modern-day Turkey, there is a site called Göbekli Tepe, enormous carved stone pillars arranged in rings, built around 11,000 years ago. It is one of the oldest monuments on Earth, and it was raised by hunter-gatherers before farming had truly taken hold. And at this site, archaeologists found huge stone vats, containing traces of what may have been one of the earliest large-scale brews. Picture that. People who had not yet settled down, gathering in their hundreds at a sacred place, hauling giant stones, and possibly sharing enormous batches of ancient beer. Which raises the real question. Why? Why did alcohol matter so much to us that we may have reshaped our entire way of life around it? And the answer is not just that it feels good. The answer is that alcohol may have been one of the most powerful social technologies our species ever stumbled upon. Think about what a drink does in a group. It lowers your guard, it softens your fears, it makes you talkative, open, and a little more willing to trust the person across from you. For most of history, humans lived in small bands where everyone knew everyone. But as groups grew larger, we suddenly had to cooperate with strangers, and strangers are dangerous. You don't know if you can trust them. Now imagine sitting down with a rival group and sharing a drink. Everyone loosens up, barriers drop, deals get made, bonds get formed, marriages get arranged. Alcohol became a kind of social glue, a chemical shortcut to the trust and connection that large, complex societies need to hold together. From ancient feasts to sealing a business deal to a wedding toast today, we have used it in exactly the same way for thousands of years. It also became sacred. Across countless cultures, alcohol was the drink of the gods, poured out as offerings, used in holy rituals, and carried into the afterlife with the dead. To share a drink was to share something powerful, almost magical. And there was one more brutally practical reason. For much of history, the water could kill you. Rivers and wells were full of invisible bacteria that caused deadly disease. But the process of fermentation, and later boiling, made alcohol far safer to drink than the water around it. For thousands of years, a mild beer or watered wine wasn't just a treat. It was one of the safest things in the cup. But we can't tell only the happy half of this story, because alcohol has always been a double-edged sword. Your body, for all its ability to process it, still fundamentally treats alcohol as a toxin, a poison it has to rush to break down. That crushing hangover is your body dealing with the damage, and beyond a single rough morning lies addiction, sickness, violence, and ruin. The very same drink that could bond a village together could also tear a person apart. And that is the strange, uncomfortable heart of it. We are a species that fell in love with a poison. We chased it out of the treetops. We may have invented farming to get more of it. We built our feasts and our gods and our friendships around it, knowing on some level that it could also destroy us. We decided the connection was worth the cost. So the next time you raise a glass with people you care about, and you feel that warm, easy, talkative glow settle over the table, understand what you are really taking part in. You are performing a ritual older than history. You are using the exact same tool your ancestors used to turn strangers into allies and neighbors into family. That drink in your hand is a thread running all the way back, past every city and every harvest, past the first farmers, past the first brewers, all the way to a hungry ape following the scent of fermenting fruit on the forest floor. We have been chasing that feeling for 10 million years. So raise your glass to them, because in a very real way, this strange, ancient, dangerous, beautiful habit helped make us who we are. Cheers.